while back I was asked to make a Celtic cross for a new church, and you may have seen that video. Later I was asked to make a miniature version 16 inches tall as a gift for the rector. So I used the ShopBot and the Aspire software to make the cross. I'm going to show you a little bit about how that was done. First, into Aspire, I had to make the drawing for the cross and the circle that has the Celtic weave, and then I had to take the Celtic weave itself and figure it to insert it into the correct place on the circle. And so I got that approximately positioned, and once I was happy with the position of that, then I did an array to copy that around all four quadrants of the circle. And once that was done, then I would make the pockets for where the cross would fit into the circle. So instead of an applique, this circle had the carving in it. And with the pockets all done, I then designed the tool paths for the weave and the pockets, and then did a little rendering to see what it would look like. And there you can see the weave cut right into the material for the circle, and then the pockets. And then I went ahead and did a cutout of the circle on the outside and the inside, got rid of the waste, and you can see what that looks like. So I did the similar techniques for the actual cross pieces themselves. So here I'm using the edge sander to square up those pieces I'm using to make the center circle, and I'm gluing that up into the four quadrants, and later I'll be cutting that on the ShopBot. The oak and walnut sections of the cross are each made of two layers. Here's the walnut section's top layer fit up and then being glued up, and I'll do a similar operation with the bottom layer. Getting back to that center circle part, I'm taking the halves that I glued up and making them nice and flat, and then I'm going to glue it up into four quadrants that I can then make into the circle. By now the cross is dry, and I can go ahead and sand that flat. I've taken the layers, I've put glue between them, a little tape to hold them in place so they don't slide around when I put them in the vacuum bag. I've got my vacuum bag here with a piece of coated hardboard in case any glue leaks out. I've got some webbing here, some mesh that'll help the air spread around. I'm going to let the mesh fall right on top of the work here. Sometimes I'll use a little caul on top, but in this case, I'm just going to let it fall right on the work. Okay, slide them in there. Seal up the bag. Of course, I've got my vacuum pump already attached. You got to kind of work quickly because the glue, you don't want the glue drying out before you get the bag sealed up. Okay, that looks good, and I've got my hose connecting right here between the crosses. Go ahead and start pulling vacuum. Looks like we're up to about 11 inches of mercury. Okay, I got about 23 inches of vacuum there, which will be plenty for this. We'll just let that set up. And now you can see how that cut out. Looks a lot like the drawing we just showed you on Aspire. Front and back, pockets. All we do is cut the tabs. With the the center circle and all the Celtic weaves done. Now I'm going to look at the top cross. This is red oak, and it's going to have Celtic weaves. And so, you know, I had taken 2 layers of wood. The bottom layer is half the thickness of what the base material is supposed to be, but the top layer is thicker because that includes the actual Celtic cross, which is going to be carved into this piece instead of being an applique. So it's really important to make sure that this piece is aligned on the table correctly. Celtic knot has to center where the pieces of the cross intersect at that, you know, that X marks the spot right in the center. And so I have to use that as my reference point. So the first thing I did was I put a very small 1/32 inch ball nose bit in here so that I could line it up to the exact center of this. And then I called that 0, 0. I told the software that that's my 0, 0 position. And then I moved the bit relative to that by the distance X and Y to the corner of the material in my drawing. My drawing used a material size that was 10 by 17, so I moved that bit down to that 0, 0 point. I had to calculate what that distance was, and then once the bit was there, I reset the 0, X, Y to that point. So that became the 0, 0 from which the entire piece would be cut, lower left-hand corner. Okay, with all that done, now I'm just going to go ahead and do this in a 4-bit process. The first bit is going to be a 1/4 inch upcut that is going to pocket out everything except where the Celtic knot goes. And then I'll use a 1/16 ball nose to hog away most of the Celtic knot area, and then a 32nd ball nose to get right in there and make that weave just perfect. And finally go back to the 1/4 inch upcut bit to cut this out with some tabs, and it should be good. Okay, so I used a water-based glue on this, and it's a little bit difficult to predict what's going to happen when the woods absorb that moisture. And so what really happened was the piece cupped just a little bit. So I had to put a little water on here to get it to flatten out again, so I get it all screwed down, get this cut. Once it's cut, the actual cross is so thin in here, I don't think we're going to see any appreciable cupping. But until that point, until I can get rid of all this waste that's putting a lot of stress on this piece, I had to use that little water technique. So just something to keep in mind, get you out of a tight jam. Here you can see what the finished piece looks like. The cross with the Celtic knot came out nice. You can see I've got some tabs that are holding this in. So I just got to cut through the tabs, free this centerpiece, and then I've got to do some sanding. There's some roughness with all the bits that we were using. Get that sanded down, but I think that's going to turn out to be nice. It's going to fit nicely, I hope, into the slots I made on the circle. So we'll get to that next. Okay, I've got the pieces all sanded down. They're looking pretty nice, and I was able to get a good fit here. Let's go ahead and show you how that works. I've marked where the top of the Celtic weave circle is. There we go. Just snaps in place there. And then this piece will snap in there. So that's basically what we're looking at. Now I have to make the little spacer that goes in here, just like on the original full-size cross. And I need to make a block here, a block here, here, and here, so that it fits nice and firmly and level against the wall, just like on the original. And I'll put a little hook up here on the top block. So I'm going to go ahead and tape off the glue areas and then start doing some finishing. So I spray lacquered all the pieces and then glued them together, and I think the finished product looks very nice.